Ethan Miller was only 8 years old when he decided he would never work for anyone else. While other kids were running around the schoolyard, laughing and playing, Ethan was quietly watching his father walk home every night. Shoulders slumped, eyes tired, spirit almost gone. His dad worked 12-hour shifts at a local textile factory, coming home smelling like machine oil and disappointment. His mother, Emily, worked part-time at a diner just to keep food on the table. One afternoon, she took Ethan with her to the farmer's market. That's when he smelled something he would never forget: the warm, comforting scent of freshly baked bread. Behind a wooden counter stood Mr. Collins, the town baker. His hands were covered in flour, his apron dusted white, but his smile shone with a peace Ethan had never seen on his father's face. "Mum," Ethan asked, tugging at her sleeve, "why does Mr. Collins look so happy at work?" She looked down at him and smiled gently. "Because, sweetheart, that bakery is his. He works for himself." Those words would change Ethan's life forever. As he grew up, Ethan began noticing the differences around him. People who worked for others always looked tired, worried about being late, afraid of being fired. But business owners, even when exhausted, carried something else in their eyes: pride. At 15, while his friends were applying for part-time jobs at gas stations or fast food chains, Ethan made a decision everyone called crazy. He used his birthday savings and the money from mowing lawns to buy a few bags of flour, sugar, and yeast. His first bakery was his mum's kitchen. He burned half the bread, ruined the rest, and wasted almost all his savings. Neighbors smiled politely when he offered samples, but few came back. His uncle, a financial analyst, laughed and told him, "You're wasting your time, kid. Get yourself a real job with benefits." But Ethan couldn't forget Mr. Collins's smile. Every failure became a lesson. He started writing everything down: how much each ingredient cost, what sold best, which recipes failed. Without realizing it, he was learning the basics of business: profit margins, reinvestment, and quality control. By 17, Ethan had regular customers. He'd learned to wake up early, bake before school, and deliver fresh loaves to the local market. He didn't make much, but he understood something his classmates didn't: how money worked. When he turned 18, his parents offered him a job at the factory where his dad worked. "It's safe, son," his father said. "You'll have a steady paycheck, vacation time, health insurance." It was tempting. His bakery barely paid his bills. But when he looked at his father's tired hands and then at the small bag of flour sitting on the counter, he realized something. Safety wasn't the same as happiness. That night, he made his choice. He wouldn't take the job. Instead, he used his contacts from the market to apply for a small loan, not to spend, but to invest. He rented a tiny space downtown, bought a second-hand oven, and officially opened his first bakery, Miller's Bread and Soul. The first months were brutal. Some days he sold just 3 loaves. Other nights he worked until 2 a.m., cleaning, kneading, and wondering if he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. His friends were buying cars and going on weekend trips, while Ethan lived on instant noodles and 4 hours of sleep. But little by little, he began to understand something most people never do. Success doesn't come from working harder. It comes from working smarter. He learned his customers' routines. He woke up at 4 a.m. to have fresh bread ready before people went to work. He tracked which flavors sold out and which went untouched. And when profits finally came, he didn't spend them. He divided every dollar: 30% reinvested, 20% saved, and 50% for living. That discipline changed everything. When his oven broke down, he had savings ready. When he saw an opportunity to buy flour in bulk, he had capital. By 21, Miller's Bread and Soul had grown. He hired his first employee, Mrs. Turner, a woman in her 60s who'd lost her job when a factory bakery shut down. "Mrs. Turner," Ethan said the day she started, "we don't work here to make someone else rich. We work to build something we can call ours." He gave her a fair salary and a small share of the profits. It wasn't charity, it was partnership. And it worked. Mrs. Turner cared for the bakery like it was her own. They experimented with new recipes, new displays, and new kinds of bread. By 25, Ethan faced his biggest challenge. A massive bakery chain opened just down the street selling cheap, mass-produced bread. Within 2 weeks, he lost almost half his customers. People told him, "You should have taken that factory job, Ethan. Dreams don't pay the bills." For the first time, he doubted himself. He saw his friends with stable jobs, shiny cars, and weekends off, while he worked from dawn to dusk. But then he remembered something Mr. Collins had told him years ago. When you work for others, your value is decided by them. When you work for yourself, your value is decided by what you create. That night, he made a decision that would change everything. He wouldn't compete on price. He'd compete on experience. He introduced artisanal bread made with organic, local ingredients. He let customers watch him bake. He held free Saturday workshops where he taught families how to make bread from scratch. And something magical happened. People didn't just buy his bread, they believed in it. Years passed. Ethan's bakery survived the storm of competition. Not because he lowered his prices, but because he raised his purpose. He no longer sold bread, he sold meaning. Each loaf carried a story of effort, patience, and quality. He created a bond with his community, and that bond became his strongest shield against failure. By the time he turned 30, Ethan had what many called luck, though he knew better. Luck was what people called discipline they didn't understand. Miller's Bread and Soul had expanded. He now had 2 locations, 5 employees, and a waiting list of small stores that wanted to sell his products. But the most important thing he had built wasn't his bakery, it was his mindset. While his friends celebrated their promotions and pay raises, Ethan celebrated something else: freedom. He no longer depended on a boss, a paycheck, or even the economy. He had created a system that worked, not perfectly, but consistently, because he'd built it with patience. At 32, Ethan received an offer that made him pause. A large industrial bakery chain wanted to buy his brand, recipes, and entire model. The sum they offered could have allowed him to retire comfortably. His friends told him, "Sell it, man, you'll be rich for life." But Ethan had learned something that money couldn't buy. If you sell your purpose, you sell your peace. Instead, he countered the offer with something bolder, a franchise model. He would share his brand and methods with other small entrepreneurs, keeping control of quality and philosophy while splitting profits fairly. They agreed, and that decision changed everything. Within a few years, there were Miller Bread and Soul bakeries across several states, each one run by local bakers who shared his principles: honesty, quality, and passion. Every store paid him royalties, but more importantly, they created jobs and kept the artisanal spirit alive. Ethan had built something his father never could: a legacy. By 40, Ethan had achieved what many chased their entire lives: true financial independence. Not because he was rich, but because he no longer needed anything. His business ran with trained teams, automated systems, and trusted partners. He spent his mornings mentoring young entrepreneurs who came to his bakery seeking advice. He never charged them. He saw it as a way to give back and to remind himself where he came from. "You don't need to own a bakery to be free," he'd tell them. Freedom begins in your mind. When you stop trading your time for someone else's dream, you start building your own. Ethan's life wasn't perfect. He still had bad months, delayed shipments, and stressful days. But he also had mornings without alarms, dinners without guilt, and the quiet joy of knowing he had chosen his path. One afternoon, while cleaning the back room of his first bakery, he found something dusty under an old shelf, a small notebook. It was the same one he had used at 15 to record his first expenses and sales. He flipped through its pages, shaky handwriting, numbers, messy calculations. And at the end, a single note written in his teenage scrawl. "Work hard, but work for yourself." He smiled. It wasn't just advice, it was a prophecy. At 45, Ethan's bakery had become a brand known for honor more than profit. Reporters called him the bread mentor. He laughed at the title, but deep down, he understood what they meant. His story wasn't about bread, it was about belief. He'd faced doubt, failure, and temptation to give up, but he'd discovered something powerful along the way. The true difference between an employee and an entrepreneur isn't in the hours they work. It's in who owns the result. By 50, Ethan had more than businesses. He had built schools, donated equipment to small-town bakers, and helped countless people start their own ventures. But he still woke up early just like he did at 15. Not because he had to, but because he loved it. The smell of freshly baked bread still made him feel alive. One morning, as the first light touched his shop window, Ethan whispered to himself, "Mr. Collins was right. When you work for yourself, your value has no limit." He looked around the bakery, the walls filled with memories, and smiled. He hadn't just baked bread, he had baked freedom.